30分で時計と30分で1回ね、はい。
We'll talk later.
Oh, really? Thank you.
Yes, yeah, we have to. Okay.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to introduce Dr. Masami Ishido from the National Institute of Environmental Studies. He's going to talk to us about nasty environmental toxins, which includes EMF radiation, and he'll talk about various related hormonal effects, about autism, Parkinson's disease, and various other matters. Over to you.
Thank you, Chairman. And I would like to thank Dr. Murata for inviting me to Symposium. And today I will talk about the effect of physicochemical stimulants in environment. We are exposed to many environmental factors that are dramatically increasing in parallel to the social development. For the health risk assessment, it is very important to estimate the human exposure level, but it is extremely hard to achieve. The current methodology for risk assessment is focus on its source, root, and the amount of the factors exposed. Furthermore, we have to know how these environmental factors affect on our health at the molecular level. Human biological system consists of many biochemical reactions to achieve eternal life. So far, we know these many environmental factors affect on our biochemical reaction. So we can utilize this modification by these factors as its affection. So it is very hard for me to investigate human being per se. So we use both in vitro culturing system and experiment animals to detect any effect of environmental factors. Here is listed environmental factors that I have studied so far. Today I show you my work about the cadmium briefly and electromagnetic field and model that with environmental chemical. Drastic changes of biochemical reaction by cadmium drastic changes by cadmium is easily detectable, but subtle biological influence such as electromagnetic field is very hard to detect. Particularly, it is hard to prove that this influence might link to the certain disease. So experimental animals are excellent for risk assessment, and we can extrapolate to humans. Now our work is now concentrated to the higher brain function. It was Japanese government's politics to produce zinc and lead from a mine. During the industrial activity, cadmium was thrown away to the surrounding environment. Cadmium was then taken via food such as rats. The bone was broken by the metal in the food. They felt painful whole body. This is Itai disease. It happened in Toyama Prefecture, and Itai means painful. For a long time, it has been believed that cytotoxic action of cadmium was necrotic, but we are very lucky to find the apoptogenic nature of cadmium, because cadmium cause drastic changes of the cellular morphology. So, but in modern Japan, we never see such catalogs because due to the restrict regulation by restriction of industry activity by government. Currently, our challenge is to detect the subtle influence of environmental factors such as electromagnetic field. Today's world was concerned about the environmental factors are EMF and environmental chemicals. These are different from heavy metal pollution in that both are necessary for our current life. So it is very important to use both at the harmless level and replace to the safer one. So I move to the next part. In this part, I will show you our in vitro study of EMF. I already took this part at the WHO workshop at Beijing, China in 2003, where Dr. Stark was also there. In this June, WHO reports their 10-year activity of EMF. Environmental health criteria number 238 consists of 14 chapters. In chapter 6, neuroendocrine system, our in vitro study was summarized here. Dr. Liebig was the first that the EMF broke the oncostatic action of melatonin on MCF7 cells, who are forced to reproduce their result with some progress. We all carried out based on the melatonin hypothesis. Dr. Stevens hypothesized that the EMF might block the oncostatic action of melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone which is secreted from pineal gland in brain. So melatonin hypothesis says that the EMF blocks the inhibitory action of melatonin. Therefore, cancer cell can continue to grow, escaping melatonin action. Here we test the melatonin hypothesis using MCA7 cell. We obtained MCA7 cell from Dr. Liebig, who first showed that the cell has a sensitivity to EMF. We used whole merit coil device in a mu metal chamber for EMF exposure. The mu metal chamber has a cube that was constructed with 80% nickel and trace element. The chamber had a whole ventilation hole on the top and bottom. A temperature probe was placed inside to monitor temperature continuously. This is the result. As shown in the right panel, in control cell, melatonin inhibited cell growth. About 20% inhibition was observed at 10 to minus 10 molar melatonin. However, when the cell was exposed to 100 microtesla for 1 week, melatonin inhibition was blocked. This result suggests that EMF might have a biological effect on the signal transduction pathway of melatonin. Therefore, we next explore the molecular basis of effect of EMF on melatonin signal transduction. Melatonin can inhibit the cyclic AMP production, second messenger in a cellular process. And in this study, we use the hot spring, which which is directly activate adenine cyclase activation. So, solid line is a control cell, and we can find that melatonin can inhibit the horse-colline is stimulated cyclic AMP accumulation in a dose-dependent manner. However, for cells exposed to 100 microtesla for 3 days, the percentage inhibition was significantly decreased to the 27%. A longer period of exposure, 7 days of the cell to EMF, completely blocked the inhibitory activity of melatonin. So this slide shows the rate of uncoupling of 1 micromolar melatonin as a function of EMF exposure time. There was a good linear correlation. Next, we examine the biological effect of EMF on gene expression level using DNA array technology. This slide shows the protocol of DNA array method we use. Total RNA was isolated from non-exposed cells and exposed cells. 1.2 microtesla or 100 microtesla were exposed for 1 week. Then probe preparation was done by reverse transfer to cyclic cDNA. After labeled probe with fluorescence, hybridization was carried out with a DNA graph array that Crontek Corporation produced. After hybridization, we detect the signal by the fluorescence detector. The only thing we did was to expose the cell to EMF, and others were done by Crontek Corporation, who never know the EMF program that we made. DNA graph array we use has 1081 genes. The genes related to cell signaling were spotted relatively more than others. Oncogenes, tumor suppressor genes, and sex cycle-related genes were also spotted. These are raw data that Crontek Corporation reported to us. We noticed that several signals were found in both 1.2 microtesla and 100 microtesla. Here. So we, therefore, we summarize all data given. Genes listed were functionally categorized following the information provided by Crontek. No alteration of gene expression represented level 1. And upper regulated gene was spotted more than 1. Conversely, down-regulated gene was spotted below 1. Green circle indicated the result of 100 microtesla for 1 week. 95% of genes were unchanged, reflecting that the dots turn to the line at the level 1. However, 5% genes left were remarkable changes. It is said that more than 2-fold changes is significant in this method. It is notable that one functional group is remarkably changed around here. And the red circle indicates the result of 1.2 microtesla exposure for 1 week. The alteration pattern is extremely similar to that obtained by 100 microtesla. Again, this group was particularly increased by 1.2 micro EM exposure as well. This slide summarizes the typical alteration of gene expression by EMF. Some oncogenes and some kinases are remarkable changes. as the ETS gene, oncogene were also reported by others. Listed here 3 groups. The significance of the relation should be examined next. Now we are doing it. So this is the last part. I talked about the effect of environmental chemicals on central nervous system. Human biological system consists of not only physicochemical but also psychiatric network. So psychiatric disorders and sporadic neurodegenerative disease have well-documented environmental causes. Recent research focused on children's health because it has been believed that the children are much sensitive to environmental insults, leading to the deficit in development, and that they might be a predictor of disease in later life. This slide lists the human neurodevelopmental disorder so far known. Much attention paid to the ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and autism, because the number of these are dramatically increasing recently. They are characterized with impulsivity in attention and hyperactivity and antisocial personalities. Autism-like characteristics were also found other neurodevelopment disorders such as Tourette syndrome or Fragile X syndrome. We now examine if environmental chemical called environmental disruptor could cause hyperactivity in the lab, as seen in the ADHD or autism. This slide shows the experimental design. We already administered endocrine disruptor into 5-day-old rat, and we measured their spontaneous motor activity up to 5 weeks of age. With to see if they might be motor dysfunction. We use to do this. We use the Supermax system. This system can count not only locomotion mainly, but also rearing and grooming. And at 7 weeks of age, we carried out biochemical analysis, including immunohistochemistry and cell death. This slide shows the behavioral trait of the rat. Supermax systems started at 19 p.m. and in 12 hours, right turn on and to still keep measure the spontaneous motor activity. In that phase, endocrine disruptor treated was significantly higher than control rat. It was 1.3-fold active than control. This slide is a result of tyrosine hydroxylase immunostaining. A is a control rat, and B is an endocrine disruptor treated hyperactive rat brain. We could detect the tyrosine hydroxylase in control brain. However, as shown in panel B, endocrine disruptor impaired immunoreactivity for tyrosine hydroxylase. We further performed tunnel staining to examine whether the endocrine disruptor caused degeneration of dopaminergic neuron. No labeling was found in the control brain, as shown in the panel A. However, tunnel positive cells were detected in hyperactive rat brain. Here. Panel C shows the typical nuclear condensation, one of the features of apoptosis. Tyrosine hydroxylase is a rate-limited enzyme in the synthesis of the catecholamine, although the etiology of human hyperactivity has been unknown, our model rat strongly suggests the dysfunction of dopaminergic neuron. Here we remind that typical dopaminergic disease is the Parkinson's disease. Parkinson's disease is a chronic neurodegenerative condition. It represents clinically as a disorder of motor function characterized by tremor, bradykinesia, muscle rigidity, poor balance, and problems in gait. The etiology of Parkinson's disease is selective loss of dopaminergic neuron in the substance nigra pars compacta. Characteristics of accompanying pathology is the presence of the Levy bodies, which are intracytoplasmic inclusion containing the alpha-synuclein. So, according to our hyperactivity disorder model, the cause might be the neurodevelopmental deficit of dopaminergic neuron. Here, we were wondering that hyperactivity was seen in childhood, whereas hypoactivity, akinesia, was seen in the adulthood, also which might be due to the dopaminergic dysfunction. So, one of the possibilities is that the behavior traits might be dependent on the temporal order of exposure to insight. Other possibility is that expanded Broca's hypothesis, in that early environmental origin of neurodegenerative disease in the later life. In this study, we examined the first hypothesis. The single chemical might cause both disease depending on the temporal order of exposure. MPTP is the first chemical that causes Parkinson's disease in a man. In experimental exposure, pesticides have been implicated as risk factor of Parkinson's disease based on the result of some epidemiological studies as well as experimental animals. We became interested in the parapod, particularly as a pesticide risk factor, because it shares a remarkable structural similarity to the MPP. Therefore, we try to make Parkinson model animals using adult rats. We exposed the 7-week-old adult rat to pesticide with osmotic pump, expecting restrict tremor, rigidity, and akinesia, bradykinesia, with subsequent loss of postural stability. Therefore, after exposure, we measure their spontaneous motor activity as well, as usual. Here is a movie of a Parkinsonian rat. It was hard to record the rat moving because it stands too rigidly for a long time. It is never seen to be painful, probably no tremor. Apparently, muscle rigidity, poor balance, and problem in gait. This is the control rat with the same osmotic pump. The pump never hamper its work, never. And the control rat can stand up. Probably my surgical operation is fine. This is a result of spontaneous motor activity. The broken line is a control rat, whereas the solid line is a pesticide-treated model rat. As expected by the movie, pesticide caused hypokinesia. It was more than 49% less active. So conversely, we exposed the neonatal rat 5-day older to the same pesticide that we use for adult rats. The pesticide was orally administered once. Then we measured their spontaneous motor activity at 4 to 5 weeks of age to see if it causes hyperactivity or not. This is the result. Neonatal pesticide lesion significantly caused hyperactivity at the juvenile. It was 1.4-fold active than control in the nocturnal case. Here two results were taken together. Temporal order of exposure to pesticide define their behavioral trait. In this present time, there is no disease in a man that supports our model life. But in the past, around in the 1970s, we could find it as a phenomenon in case of empathic research. It is said that the hyperactivity among children was first described by Dr. Juan Economo in case of encephalic research. Hyperactivity, sleep disorders, and antisocial personality disorders are all associated with disease in children, and Parkinsonism is observed in adult cases. This suggests that the etiology of hyperactivity in children could involve the potentially irreversible degeneration of the dopaminergic neuron. Thus, this description supports our pesticide model argument. And beside our conclusion, I want to say another hypothesis. It was called the expanded background hypothesis. And the sporadic Parkinson's disease typically begins at 60 years old. And symptoms became evident after the loss of 80% of dopaminergic neuron. Developmental damages facilitate the loss of dopaminergic neuron across life. In contrast, according to normal age, we will be a Parkinson's disease at 120 years old after we will be dead. So the hypothesis says that early environmental origin of neurodegenerative disease in later life. We are now investigating this point. This is the last slide. And before closing my talk, I want to mention the good news from the research field of Alzheimer's. Environment enrichment, exercise, and mentors mitigate cognitive deficits in mouse model. There is also a report that environment enrichment delays the onset of Huntington's disease in mice as well. So you can see environment as a result of human activity is a double-edged sword. We have to recognize this sense for neuro risk assessment of chemicals. I want to stop my talk here. Thank you for your attention.
You talked about early exposure of children. Children were more sensitive early. What about prenatal exposure? I mean, exposure of the mother. There are some recent studies that show that PCB exposure to rats, to their offspring, will have serious changes in the central nervous system, different maps of the cortex and so on. Perhaps we are looking at the wrong place for instance, autism, attacking or trying to treat the children. It's maybe too late. The program for these changes that cause the symptoms may be laid down already prenatally for some kind of maybe environmental exposure or some other things.
There are many reports to suggest this point. And autism is a typical multifactorial disease, and many people now recognize that autism is caused by neurodevelopmental disease. Particularly, the critical windows is prenatal period in the pregnant mother. So I want to examine this point in the animal model next time.
Early environmental exposure to chemicals cause some disorders in the later stage seems very attractive and impressive because it's very deep. It seems it is very difficult to look for some relationship between cause and effects. And another thing is that if such a time delay effect is extending, there must be further possibility that the early age of onset can cause some transmissive effects among different generations. It has some embryonic in the stage of embryonic level, exposure to some such system exposure to environmental chemicals, the actual effects may appear through several generations. Do you have any idea about this?
It is no case that children with autism will not be the Parkinson's disease at modern in the current. There's no case that children with autism will not become Parkinson's disease, and according to the preliminary result, our model rat never showed that the hyperactive rat will become Parkinson's model rat. No, probably not. Thank you.
Omura from New York. We found autism patients. They have almost identical finding as Alzheimer's disease in the brain. Beta amyloid 1 to 42 is increased, and acetylcholine is reduced, and aluminum is increased, and also coexisting mixed infection of bacteria and viruses, particularly cytomegalovirus and human herpes type 6, and chlamydia trachomatis and mycobacterium tuberculosis. So we even call that autism as juvenile Alzheimer's disease. And also recently we found additional factor in New Jersey. The certain part has excessive amount of the asbestos on the ground, and children in this area have a high incidence of autism, and we found they all have essentially same as Alzheimer's, but additional very significant increase in the asbestos. But we also found by giving one optimal dose of DHEA, it can change the acetylcholine is increased close to normal in a matter of half hour, 1 hour, and also beta amyloid 1 to 42 go down and to normal range, and bacteria and virus reduces very significantly, and we want to find out where they are going. And we found they are all coming in the urine.
Can you complete the question now? Give you the chance to answer.
Well, this is I'm not asking a question, I'm adding additional information related to this.
Thank you very much. And there is a note about patients with autism is dementia. Dementia is a remarkable characteristic of Alzheimer's, so I never see autism is a juvenile Alzheimer's in our modern world.
In your experiments with electromagnetic fields, how do you think the fields are being sensed by single cells?
This is the answer of the problem. I cannot answer. Probably next speaker will sample answer.
That's all the answers. I might have a question. Thanks for a very nice lecture to start with, and it's a pleasure to listen to you again. We have met before in these circumstances. The last thing you said about this Alzheimer's, yes, it's still there. Mice, I mean. When did they start training them? Is it helpful to start as a baby and be cognitively enriched all the time, thereby having less Alzheimer, or were they Alzheimerian mice that were trained at a late age? Or it's very interesting.
Environmental enrichment facilitates a neurogenesis in the brain, even adult blood. Of course, baby blood also facilitates neurogenesis in the brain.
Yeah, according to what you said about the early damage to neurons and chemical situation, it might be so that it is very useful to be extremely enriched as young, to have some sort of an insurance against being having an Alzheimer when you're old. I don't know. This is nice information. So.
So it is a good experiment designed to test the sport. I will do it next.
Yes, that sounds good. Thank you very much.
Any further questions?
Thank you for great. My question is very simple and very close to our life. So, you experiment on the effect of a magnetic field on the cell. We have lots of magnetic electric cookers in my life. So, are they safe or not?
If you can avoid this situation, to avoid the exposure to the EMF, if possible.
According to what, thank you. May I just comment a little bit on that? The microwave oven, it's a Faraday cage, so it's really occluding the fields inside it. So unless you put your head inside and close the door, you won't have any real problems with it. There is some leakage according to my physicists. But still, it's a minor problem compared to other things that emit microwaves like mobile phones and others, according to what I've learned. Thanks. Yes?
I guess the follow-up question then is, what natural environments are most similar to the conditions that you are placing these mice in? What should we be concerned about? 実験環境に一番近い自然環境として我々はどういうところに一番気にすべきでしょうか。What kind of devices or machines or fields are most likely to produce the danger you found in these rats?
This is my opinion. Don't worry about the wake environment factor. It is just modifying your biological reaction in your body. It's not, hopefully, it's not linked to certain disease. This is my opinion.
Any further? Well, we'll bring this to a close now. Well, you're doing